Pause your video so you have time to read the brain starter and to solve it. The first question asks for the constant function f of x equals 6. What is the limit as x approaches negative 12? Well, basically, since it's a constant function of 6, any x value that it approaches, the limit's just going to be 6, which it always is. Now, for this one, it's the identity function of f of x equals x, and it asks what happens as x approaches negative 12. Well, this, as you recall from before, just equals negative 12. As mentioned before, the constant function of k will just equal that value k for any x on the limit. And the identity function just equals whatever x value you're approaching. Now, we can use these two and these properties to help break down larger functions like polynomial functions. So just for a sampling here, the sum property, if you have some function f of x plus g of x, then really you can just take the limit of f of x and the limit of g of x and add them together, which seems intuitive, and actually all of these work pretty intuitively. Like the difference property, which means you subtract the limits. Scalar multiplication, like this k here, just means you do times k to whatever the limit was. If you're multiplying them, you just multiply the two limits. If you're dividing them, you simply divide the two limits. Except, one knock is that g of x can't equal 0 for the limit, of course, because that would make a 0 in the denominator, which is undefined. And for the power, raised to the nth, raised to the nth, and likewise, the nth root, same idea with that. So for this problem, we're looking at the polynomial function x squared minus 6x plus 3. The first thing I'm going to do is break it up, because we have subtraction and we have addition. So we can rewrite this as the limit as x approaches 4 of x squared minus the limit as x approaches 4 of 6x plus the limit as x approaches 4 of 3. Now with this, we can use the power property to rewrite this as the limit as x approaches 4 of x, the identity function, and then we square that, minus, and since the scalar multiplication, we can do 6 times the limit as x approaches 4 of the identity function, and then plus the limit as x approaches 4 of the constant function 3. Now we can begin evaluating these. So, as x approaches 4 for the identity function x, that limit is just 4. Again, as x approaches 4 of x, that is 4. And for the constant function 3, that limit is simply 3. And then, don't forget that this will be squared. We'll subtract 6 times that, and then we'll add 3. So what we have here is 16 minus 24 plus 3 is negative 8 plus 3, which just gives you an answer of negative 5.